Hi everyone, GrayPower 60 here. So Sunday night, it's talking about elder care and talking about my life with mom. It's been really good lately. I think that the only thing that I really need to do more of is mom's been doing a lot of knitting, and that's fine, but I think she needs another activity. So our next plan, my next plan for us, is to sit down with her and talk about what things she can do besides cleaning the house and doing her knitting. So I haven't really gotten to the Q&A from Mom yet. I need to prepare for that a little bit more. But I'd like to sit down and just do a chat, like chatting with Mom. What are we up to? What are we doing? How does she feel today? Things like that, you know. And maybe even do a daily vlog about it. But unfortunately, daily vlogs don't always work out when you have so many things going on in your life. So that's what I'm up to this week. So this has been a good week. We've been home quite a bit. We had a snowstorm on Friday, and I did a little walk with my my dog. And even though it was late at night, it was quite bright because of the snow being so white and the lights and so on of the city. But I thought today I would talk about where we get our strength from as caregivers, where we get our strength from. And I'm only going to talk about myself, but before I do that, I want to go over this business that I just read about, and it's about strengthening your resilience muscle, and how you can be what resilient people are, what makes them tick, and all of that. So I thought I'd just go through a couple of points about that. It was really quite interesting. Resourceful people they rely on, or they not rely, they trust. They trust their own resourcefulness. Resilient people rely on their past experiences, their support systems, and it gives them a sense of calmness in a moment of sort of, you know, coping or turbulence or whatever that is. Some people, you'll see some caretakers, some caregivers, not caretakers, caregivers, you'll see how they, because of their experience in dealing with elderly people, either through their profession or through their experiences, you'll notice how they seem to remain calm and very resourceful into what to do next. And that's something I'd like to strive for. And it made me think of, as a mother raising my children, there was, I was not, how can I explain? I was not experienced in, I didn't come from a big family, so I didn't have other brothers and sisters. There was just me and my brother, my younger brother. And so I didn't have the sort of home atmosphere of conflict and drama and, you know, what to do next, you know, and how to survive a fight with your sister or your fight with your brother. Well, I did fight with my brother when we were young, but there was all kinds of life experiences that I did not have as a child growing up. Our home was quite normal, I thought. Normal, whatever that means. We were very happy. My grandmother and my grandfather, I don't remember my grandfather too much because I think he passed away when I was, just before I was 7. But I always remembered Mom worked, Dad worked, my grandmother was home. That was our sort of home dynamic growing up. And I always remember everyone sort of had their duties, and it was all very matter of fact. There was no fighting, there was no, at least not that I saw as a child growing up. So, you know, there was the cleaning of the house and the cooking, but all of these things were kind of normal to me. You know, the meals, we all sat together for our meals, we all sat at the table, we had our meals, a little bit of chit chat. There was no watching TV while you were eating. The meals were, you know, done by, you know, my grandmother or my mother, either one. So I could not, as a mother with my children, I couldn't rely on experiences of home conflict because I didn't have it. So I didn't know. I had to live through it in order to cope with things. So I guess what I'm getting at is that resilient people seem to have a way of accessing their intelligence, their creativity to deal with a situation, probably their training, stuff like that. And it's amazing how we can become resilient ourselves by learning all of these, you know, techniques and things like that. So it was just, I found it fascinating about this. Resilient people also remind themselves they have many choices in a situation. And I was thinking of, well, am I a resilient person, and how do I how do I deal with things? And I've noticed that I must have some resilience. I guess all people do, but when there is drama in a family member's life, I'm calm about it, because I'm thinking through my experiences, we could do this, we could phone this, we could find out this, we could do these things, and so on. And I don't react in panic to a situation. It's like I have to analyze the situation before I react to it. So let me give you an example. Supposing someone in my family had called me on the phone in a panic about a health issue of some kind. I want to know the details first before I say, oh my God, you've got cancer, or oh my God, you're having a heart attack, or oh my, I mean, not that they would call me if they're having a heart attack, but do you know what I mean? Like, I need to know the details, and what did you do to get to the point where you're calling me, you know? And then I would offer suggestions. Did you do this? Have you tried this? One of the problems that we face today is that a lot of people like to self-diagnose themselves, and that is so wrong. People will go online and check to see, okay, I think I've got cancer. What does this look like? Instead of saying, okay, let's look at a healthy, okay, so supposing I've got something growing on my finger. Well, let's look at a healthy finger first. Okay, my finger looks healthy. Okay, so it's got this. Well, let's see if we can break it down from there. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas some people will go, oh my God, that looks like cancer. Let's look at everything that looks like cancer. Or it looks like a wart. Let's look at everything that, you know. Instead of doing it the reverse, let's find something healthy to look at. Oh, well, that's healthy, and I'm healthy. Okay, you know, I don't know. I'm just kind of babbling on here about that, but I guess what I'm saying is that I don't jump to conclusions about something without getting all of the details. And I tend to, I tend to remain calm. I remember many years ago, my son, or it might have been my daughter, but I think it was my son, said to me, how can you be so cold about this when I'm telling you something, whatever it may be? And I think he was in his teens. And I remember saying to him, but I need to hear the facts before I can react. I don't react before I know the facts, I guess is what I'm saying. So it appeared that I was cold, where in fact I was analyzing a situation. And I think that was my way of dealing with or pushing away the stress of the situation in order for me to calmly evaluate what's going on. So maybe I am resilient, I don't know. One thing I do know about myself is that resilient people know that they have many, many choices, and that they refuse to be trapped in sort of their circumstances without kind of recognizing that they can respond to a situation in different ways. So I have noticed about myself, for instance, if I see somebody fall, okay, now I want to go and help them, right? But I'm going to look at the whole situation first. Not that I'm not going to run and help, that's not what I mean. And that may be a poor example, but I need to assess sort of the whole situation first. Are they falling from a seizure? Are they falling and it's just something they need to learn to get up with? Are they having a heart attack? You know, I need to sort of see the whole picture before I react. And I don't mean in an emergency situation. I don't mean if somebody gets shot, okay, and I come upon them laying there in blood. I am not going to stand there and assess the situation. I am going to go and help, and through everything I remember, putting pressure on the blooded area, finding out where the, you know, all of those things is different, you know. But, you know, it's something that resilient people almost seem like they're cold, but they're not. They're not. They're calculating, they're thinking, they're analyzing the situation. Some people, it's a little bit longer and annoying, which my children thought I was, and other people it's very quick because maybe they've been through that situation many, many times. So I'm kind of going a little off topic here, but it's just, I'm trying to sort of, you know, making sure that my resilient muscle to keep me coping is working well. So by reading these things, I'm kind of getting an idea that, you know, maybe, you know, I'm handling it better than I thought, you know, handling situations. So another thing here, and it says, you know, resilient people are able to detach themselves from things that are not important to their life and purpose, and frees up their energy to work on other things that matter. So that is, I guess, where that coldness comes that my children or my son or whatever speaks about. I tend to sit back and look at the situation before I react. I watch people, and I was always a people watcher, and I used to watch people when I was young, even today, but more so as I was growing and as I was learning. One of the things I remember watching was how people, when you're sitting in a group and they're talking about a situation, I'm interested in other people's reaction and opinions of their situation, of the talkers or speaker's situation. So, and I even do that today. I've noticed that when I'm at the bingo and we're all talking and chatting about various things, and we're in a group, you know, and it's banter. You know, we're talking back and forth and it's chitting, chatting and so on. And once in a while, someone will come up with a serious situation, and I listen to them. I listen and I feel, and I listen to what they're saying. I try and feel their energy as they're saying it. And I try and feel and listen to the reactions. And for some reason in my head, I come to sort of a conclusion about the situation. Whether it's serious enough for me to even remember, which most of the time it's not. I do not bring myself into the drama of other people and their lives. I just don't feel that that's important to me. There's no point in me stressing about somebody else's situation that may be a moment in time when I've seen them, when in fact that moment in time may be the peak of their drama, which subsides almost immediately afterwards. But yet, I've known people that will take that away and worry about it for weeks and weeks until they, confront the situation again. So I hope I'm coming across a little more clearer than I had, that I feel that I am. So I just wanted to, talk about, I guess, we as caregivers are more resilient than we think we are. At the time that we're dealing with a difficult situation, sometimes we feel that we just can't cope. We want to get away. We want to scream. Taking a deep breath, stepping away from the situation really, really helps. It helps a lot. And I think it's important that we all sort of exercise that resilient muscle. Remember that we need to kind of detach ourselves from the moment. And it's really hard. I know it's really hard. I know I've lived it. But in the afterthought, how will I deal with it better the next time? Because you've had the experience. So the next time that something occurs, you can deal with it on a better basis because you've lived that situation. So as I'm living with my mom and learning her moods, her thoughts, her confusion of things sometimes, each time that I go through it, because it does repeat itself, I'm able to deal with it better and better each and every time, because I am exercising my resilience muscle to how I deal with the situation. So I want you maybe to think about that. Think about your own resilient self. How do you cope with all of the stressors in your life? Not just dealing with the elder, but also anything in your life. How do you deal with that? How can you maintain that resilient self that you have, that you can come back to a situation and know that you can handle it better each and every time? So it's kind of, it's interesting. I found this interesting about, where do you get your strength from? How do you become resilient? What can I do? And the more and more research that I do and the more and more learning that I'm doing about it, I'm realizing that I was stressing about things I have no control over instead of living with facts, instead of living with the normalcy of things. Instead of trying to make the world around me fit into my mold, I am allowing myself to change and adapt to the surroundings around me. So it's really an interesting journey that I'm on, and I'm finding it more and more strengthening. I use prayer a lot. I use research a lot. Distractions like watching movies, doing YouTube, doing my crafts. Those are distractions, and those are very helpful. Now what I need to do is find distractions for my mom. We've got one or two things, but now that she's in a pattern of that, I'd like to branch off into something else. Maybe we can do a puzzle, you know, on the table. We don't use the dining room table very often. We sit together in the living room and watch Ellen while we're having our supper. So maybe we can use the dining room table as a game table for, you know, maybe doing a puzzle. Or, you know, I'm going to need to come up with some things. So I just wanted to share that little bit of chat with you tonight. I hope it'll be helpful to some. I hope you will use some of your own research to help yourself feel better about yourself. I was going to do a talk tonight on guilt and how we deal with guilt, but I think that's really a personal thing. I think that we can research it through the various Alzheimer's societies or dementia classes or YouTube channels or TED Talks or any of these other places where we can find information about various things. And I don't rely on one site for all of my information, because I find that then you become a little more biased. I would rather research 20 or 30 sites, read a little bit about each, and make a decision on which one's going to fit better into my particular life. That's just my way. Anyway, thanks for joining me tonight, and I hope to see you all again soon. And I hope you have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.